For the last 4 years, I have been reading and reviewing books on YouTube as a tiny channel. And I have found that no matter how small I have been, I have found amazing benefits, cool people, and wonderful experiences through this creative project. So today I wanted to talk about the benefits I've experienced, no matter how small I've been, as well as how I got started, and talk about where I want to go in the future. I think this has been the coolest creative project I have started. I've had a fantastic time doing this, and I have learned so much. So I just wanted to take some time today and make a video discussing the benefits and things that I have found while starting and maintaining my YouTube channel. So for reference, I started in, I believe it was November 2020, and for 99% of the last 4 years, I have been under 1,000 subscribers. I just cracked 1,000 subscribers recently, and I get very few views on my video. This is definitely a hobby. This is definitely just something I do for fun, and I feel like that's good for me because I don't have a lot of creative hobbies. I have a lot of active hobbies, but not a lot of creative hobbies, and I feel like this has been a fantastic outlet for me to experience some creative outlets and also get better at some things that I wanted to improve at. So during my time on my YouTube channel, I have discovered so many benefits. But first, let's talk about why I got started very briefly. I was really big into watching book reviews on YouTube in like 2020, especially during the pandemic when there wasn't really a whole lot to do. But in one hand, I was living in a city where I didn't know anyone else, so I felt like I couldn't really talk to people about the books that I was reading, and it wasn't easy for me to go to library events or join meetup groups because of 2020, and I felt like I had exhausted everyone in real life who did not want to hear about my endless takes on books. And someone suggested to me, have you ever considered starting a YouTube channel? No, I hadn't, even though I had watched a lot of YouTube videos and YouTube channels that were people reviewing books. And so I decided, well, there's nothing else to do. It's 2020. I have a lot of free time, so maybe let's get started. This also kind of quickly helps me address something else that I was a little annoyed about, which I felt like, despite me watching a lot of book reviews, I was starting to feel like I was watching book reviews on the same 5 books in any given month, because I felt like a lot of people were just focusing on very small sections of books. Like everyone reviewed the 5 books that were popular this month, and then next month everyone reviewed the 5 books that were popular that month. So I felt like there wasn't a lot of variety, and I figured, hey, maybe I can just review books that I find interesting, and if a couple other people find that interesting as well, that's cool. So I got started, and it was a lot harder than I initially anticipated. I did not like talking to a camera at first. I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't like doing any of it. It was very hard for me, and still is, to find little quiet moments to film. So I have come a long way, but along the way I have discovered so many benefits. I think the benefits far outweigh any amount of work that I put into this channel completely, and have had massive impacts in my life. So let's talk about some of the best things about my YouTube channel. And I think most people who are very small creators would agree. The first is the viewers and the commentators. So despite being very small, I have had so many positive experiences with people leaving encouraging comments, giving suggestions, and most importantly, providing amazing book recommendations that they want me to read. I actually have an Excel spreadsheet. I'm one of those girls who has an Excel spreadsheet for everything. I love a good Excel spreadsheet that has all of my recommendations that I've received from comments. And every month I try to go in there and read a couple, although I probably need to step up that pace because I'm getting more recommendations than I can read through. And some of these books have been fantastic, have made top books of the year, have been books I talk about again and again, and that I've actually recommended to other people. Some of these, for example, are Surreal Numbers by D.E. Knuth. This was a math book that someone recommended to me that I never would have found on my own, but that was absolutely fantastic. Also the manga series Kaguya-sama Love is War, which wound up encouraging me to watch the anime as well, which was an absolutely funny, fantastic series that I have been reading and loving. And also sci-fi books like The Man in the Maze by, I believe it was Robert Silverberg, which was a super cool concept sci-fi book that, again, I never would have found on my own. There are too many books in the world for me to read all of them, and I love it when people who watch my videos, who at least enjoy something about my videos, and therefore have something in common with me, are taking time to provide books that they recommend to me. I love it. I appreciate every single one of those, and I try to read as many of those as I can. I love getting those comments, and I think the comments are what surprised me the most, how kind and supportive people are and how willing people are to provide their own takes and information. Also in the comments are people who are able to able to provide their own commentary. So sometimes when I post a video, and this happened, for example, on my linguistic videos, where people who were studying linguistics in school commented and provided a lot more information, a lot more recommendations, and a lot more context to what I was reading. And this is something that maybe I could do on my own if I did a lot of Googling in comparison with the book I'm reading, but when someone's able to come on my video and answer a lot of my questions or help provide additional context that I didn't know I needed or wanted, that is super helpful and super, super cool. I love getting comments from people who are experts in their field. I do not feel like challenged, or what's the word? Like attacked. I don't know what the right word is here. I don't feel like someone's coming into my space if they want to come in and provide additional commentary. I love it, and I feel like it rounds out a book. And the additional perspectives and the additional commentary in the comment section has been a massive game changer. So again, I started this channel because one of the reasons is because I just like talking about books, and I felt like I had exhausted the people in real life who wanted to talk about books with me. And something that I also missed from college was sitting in a circle and talking about a book I read. I feel like I got so much more out of books when there was going to be a discussion about it, or when I could hear what someone else picked up in the book. And as a result, I find that when I post videos on books and people leave commentary, it gives a little bit of that give and take vibe of a book discussion, because they're providing additional commentary. Hey, did you notice this? Hey, did you notice this? I liked this part. What did you like? I also really especially appreciate this for books that I don't like. So I don't really like doing negative book reviews. I do have a couple, but I also don't want to waste my time reading books I hate. So I usually gravitate towards books I like reading in the first place. But when I do have negative book reviews, I find it really, really interesting and helpful to receive comments from people who liked the book, people who had positive feedback about the book, people who enjoyed different aspects that I didn't like about the book. And I really appreciate it. And I never feel like my perspective is the only right perspective, and if you like a book I hate, you're wrong. I actually find it more informative for someone who feels differently about a book to explain why than for someone to just agree with me. If someone just comments, which I like all the comments, keep leaving them, I love that book too, or I also hated that book. That's a great comment. I'm glad to hear that we share the same views. But when someone's able to go in and say, I specifically liked this section, or you didn't like this book, but I really enjoyed this part, that gives me a better perspective on how someone else could enjoy this book. And I really, really like that. And that again goes back to that book discussion aspect, which I really enjoy and I want to have more of. And I therefore really enjoy the commentary, the perspectives in the comments that provide that aspect. Finally, something that I've found that personally changed in my own personal life, having started a YouTube channel, is the way I read. And this has slowly shifted over the last 4 years. I don't think at the beginning anything really changed with the way I read, although things were really whack in 2020. I had to like place holds exclusively online, and then you'd go up to the library door and hold your hands out, and they would come out with like masks and gloves and put the books in your hand, and then you'd be like, I don't like any of these books. So now you have to either read them or return them and wait another 3 to 7 business days for your next holds to come in. So I don't think my reading habits changed initially, but slowly over time, I have really wanted to get better at presenting books, at reviewing books, which is a whole separate skill. I love books, I love reading books, but I find that the language to talk about books and to talk about how I feel about books is a very specific subset. And I'll talk about that and things I want to get better at. But to get better at the specific subset of skills, I've had to read much more carefully. And when I'm reading these books, I'm thinking to myself, why do I not like this section? Instead of just being like, oh, I don't like this section, or this really annoys me for some reason. I don't really like this. I don't know why I disagree with this section. Or I'm really liking this story. This is fun. I stop and think, why don't I like this section? Are there other books that I think did this concept better? Why do I like this section? What books are similar to this? How do I think the author's approaching this topic? I think I read more slowly. And this is opposite of what I've seen some people say online, where they say like, maybe having some sort of channel, and I think this may impact people who make money on their channels or are running this as more of a business in any capacity, either here on YouTube or Instagram, or of course, TikTok's huge right now as well. You feel the pressure to create content and push out book reviews as fast as possible. And I do have a very high reading rate, but I have always had a very high reading rate. I am a very consistent daily reader. And I actually feel like I read slower now because I want to really have a good review when I put that book out. I want to fully understand it. And I find other people have talked about maybe the pressure to read faster, and people question whether or not they're doing a thorough book review or if they've really read it. And I'm not going to comment on, I have no clue if other people are reading the books they claim they do, but I find that I actually read slower and more thoroughly. I find myself referencing a lot more stuff. I find myself looking up a lot more stuff, and I take better notes when I'm reading the book because I'm going to want to review it, which leads to overall a slower reading rate, which I know is crazy to say because I read quite a bit of books, like between 150 to 250 a year is pretty average for me, but I feel like the quality of my reading has definitely improved. Some of that might just be with age and having read a lot more. I can make those connections more easily. Some of that might just come with time, but some of it I think has to do with me knowing I'm going to have to sit in front of a camera and at least 5 people are going to watch this video. And if I'm the kind of person who wants to do the best in everything, so I don't want to sit down and do something horribly. Where I want to go. Obviously, I am still tiny, and that is fine because I feel like I don't need lots of people listening to my voice right now because I have a lot to improve on. I still find that reviewing books is a very distinct skill from just reading and enjoying books, 2 different skill sets, and I'm not a very creative person. So I definitely want to continue to improve my ability to review books as well as be more consistent with the topics and themes that I review. In particular, I want to keep putting into the community aspect. I really like getting comments and commentary, so I kind of want to build and encourage people leaving their comments and their opinions on what they're reading in the comment sections of my videos because I just genuinely really enjoy reading it. Every time I see that I have a little notification that means someone commented, I enjoy it. Even if it's negative, even if someone doesn't like what I have to say, as long as it's constructive, I still get really excited and I can't wait to read it and see what they think and see how I can apply it. I really want to focus on improving my creative skills. Again, I'm not a creative person by any stretch of the imagination. I am an active person. My hobbies are all outside, playing sports, those sort of things. So having this creative hobby is good for me because it's way outside my comfort zone. I want to get better at presenting. I want to get better at the creative aspects, and I want to just continue to improve this hobby because I really enjoy it and I have a really fun time doing this. Even though I'm a really small creator and I've been doing this for 4 years, I have developed and improved so much. I have had such fun doing it, and I have been introduced to a myriad of benefits that I wouldn't have had if I had never started this channel or if I had given up when only 2 people watched my first video. I love receiving all your comments as always, and these benefits have improved my life in a variety of ways. That is just my perspective as a very, very small YouTube channel. I would love to hear what you think. If you have a small YouTube channel or benefits that you found, please let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.